asked me to open our marriage after she had an affair with her boss, but she regretted everything when I agreed and moved on. I was married to my wife, Katie, for 10 happy years. It was a magical relationship. We met in college and believed we had something special and unique. We were each other's firsts, whether it be going on a first date or spending our first night together. It was a love supposed to last forever, until things began to change. 1 year ago, Katie decided to change careers and get a new job. With a new job came new coworkers and friends who were very open-minded about relationships and intimacy. Every day when Katie came home, she would have a new story about one of her new friends. I was worried because most of these stories included either intimacy or infidelity, and sometimes even both. That being said, I was happy because Katie seemed to genuinely enjoy going to work. She had also started going out more, like going to a late-night party on each weekend. However, this led to us becoming distant with each other. Every week it felt like Katie and I were talking less and less, while she was going out more and more. Some days she came home at 4 a.m., exhausted, and didn't say a word to me before going to bed. She had a guilty look on her face the next day, meaning she knew she had something wrong, but she still never communicated with me. I was concerned about our relationship and decided to have a heart-to-heart with my wife. I told her that by no means did I want to restrict her freedom, and I was happy she was gaining new experiences. But her actions were clearly putting a strain on our relationship, and the path we were headed towards wasn't a good one. Katie was silent for a few seconds after hearing me, and then said something that haunted my dreams for a very long time. She said she wanted to try the idea of an open marriage. Before I could oppose, she said, "Just let me explain." Then she proceeded to tell me about how most of her friends are in open relationships, and that it is actually healthier than I think. Then she said that because I was her first boyfriend, she had missed out on her college experience. She wanted to rectify that by having an open marriage and exploring her own interests freely. By the end of her speech, my ears were ringing and I was barely listening. I knew that her new friends were influencing her, but to think that they had gone this far. My sweet Katie would have never suggested this. The fact that she was even thinking about being with other men was making me throw up. And when I thought about being with a woman other than her, that made me feel even worse. I tried saying that I was uncomfortable with an open marriage, but Katie kept on trying to convince me by saying we were living restricted lives. I even tried saying maybe we should go to therapy together to fix our marriage, but nothing worked on her. In the end, I was tired and reluctantly agreed to open our marriage just to end the conversation before I lost my cool. We agreed on some rules, like not bringing any partners into our home, but I don't remember the rest of that night. All I remember is waking up the next day and hearing my wife say, "I'm going on a date." It was as heartbreaking as I would have imagined. That week, I had to watch as Katie dressed up for other men and had several one-night stands. She would come home and try to tell me about the men she was seeing, but a single word out of her mouth would make me want to leave the room. Eventually, I found out through her socials that she had started an emotional relationship with her manager. He wasn't a young, handsome man or anything like that, but it still made me feel awful. I tried to go on dates with other women to make myself feel better, but it only made everything worse. Every time I looked at another woman, it felt like I was betraying the love I had protected for over a decade, even though that love no longer existed. I just had enough and decided to focus on myself.